Hello and good evening. Welcome along to Business. Today I'm Joram Paul Sonko with Winnie Boyinza Nakoti on sign language. First, let's have a look at our top stories. In Business today, Finance Ministry, World Bank and UNDP forge means to fix external borrowing, internal financing strategy to bridge 33 trillion gap. In the other news, Trade Committee seeks 86.4 billion shillings loan to set up conventional center as non-aligned conference nears. And also, URSB draws solutions for ailing businesses, insolvency review to be relied on. The Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, together with the World Bank and other stakeholders, have launched a public investment financing strategy. This is set to establish a robust and sustainable financing mechanism for the achievement of the NDPs. This and more in resolving the external borrowing.
It's open, Honourable Minister. And then I will request all the other partners, after Her Excellency Susan.
Honorable Matia Kasaija estimates that it will cost 411.7 trillion Ugandan shillings to finance all the government's planned programs. The 5-year NDP3 period is covered by an average 82.3 trillion. The government will need to find extra sources of money to cover the cost of its planned initiatives, given the budget is close to 49 trillion, which results in an annual financing deficit of close to 33 trillion.
The overall cost of financing all government planned programs is estimated at 411.7 trillion Uganda shillings. This averages to 82.3 trillion shillings over the 5-year NDP3 period. Government's budget has been close to 49 trillion shillings, hence an annual financing gap of close to 33 trillion shillings.
Using alternative financing methods will aid in reducing the budget backlog caused by Uganda's high public stock debt. Investments that are prioritized in areas like infrastructure, agriculture, education, health and tourism, among others, would encourage economic growth, combat poverty, and raise Ugandan standards of living.
Or the Ministry of Finance to explore alternative sources of financing in order to ensure that we fully finance our development plan without necessarily increasing the debt burden on government.
To enhance SDGs implementation, a multi-stakeholder approach that involves engaging with all stakeholders at national and subnational levels will be adopted. Stakeholders will also establish partnerships with development partners, including the United Nations and World Bank, to provide technical and financial support for SDGs implementation.
Domestic revenue mobilization or increases in external public finance are not enough. Development requires significant contributions from external and domestic private investment, and which is why this strategy and the issues discussed here this morning have been very critical.
The strategy that has been launched today, together with the integrated national financing framework, will allow the government of Uganda to access a broad range of various financial instruments and various financial vehicles for financing its development agenda. And I believe it will also send a strong message to the development partners and to the international community.
This strategy aims at providing an integrated financing strategy that is critical for the effective implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development through mobilizing adequate financial resources, both domestic and international, to finance the implementation of development programs and projects. This will enable Uganda to mobilize, allocate, and utilize financial resources more efficiently towards the achievement of the SDGs.
So minerals, gas, geothermal, a lot of these mineral and extractive industry, oil and gas, are fantastic. Uganda has some of the best and huge deposits of close to 47 different minerals. I think government needs to put some justice in this area. Working with our donor partners, our development partners, that's an area that, in my view, has not been largely looked at to ensure that we can create.
The Public Investment Finance Plan is an important step towards realizing Uganda's development objectives. The government, commercial sector, development partners and other stakeholders must work together for the strategy to be implemented successfully. Nonetheless, the PIFS offers a solid framework for long-term funding of Uganda's development priorities, enabling the nation to realize its full potential for economic development and poverty eradication. Martha Nimsima, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now 86.4 billion Ugandan shillings are needed for the Munyonyo conference. The Committee of Trade has presented a loan request for 86.4 billion shillings needed for the construction of the Speak Resort Convention Center, which is expected to host a non-aligned government conference due to take place in December this year. The committee, however, still wants to interface with the Ministry of Finance to break down this money before it is approved. We have more.
In his presentation to the Budget Committee, Honorable Edakas Alfred informed legislators that although Uganda is anticipating over 4,000 visitors from over 120 countries, it lacks a location that can accommodate such a large group. Honorable Alfred claims that the government has already made a decision to collaborate with the owner of Speak Resort Munyonyo to build a convention center that can handle that many people.
The issue is very clear. The government went and competed, and now we are hosting this conference that will bring the G77, will bring China and several summits. So it was not foreseen, so definitely government had to present a supplementary on it. It was not foreseen, it was something we bidded and then we won. We didn't know we would win. I think what the Committee of Budget is asking is, as far as shares are concerned, there is already a share certificate. So the money for shares that government spent into MERA is a justified cost.
On the other hand, the committee has informed the chair of the Trade Committee that while hosting more than 120 nations is a wonderful idea, they must first carefully review the loan terms before approving this project.
And the event, according to this report, was given to Uganda already, and the visitors are coming. There was lobbying, and then at the last minute you are told you are given an offer to host. Therefore, you as a country, you must look for where you can locate, where you are going to have the visitors. The existing conference center can take about 1,500. This one is for about 4,000, which means you must construct. But where do you construct?
The project is about $40 million. So they are looking at part of the money to be capital, shareholding for government of Uganda, and the other as the loan. So those are the details. Now we are asking the ministry to break down, and then we look at the process. Then we can be able to approve and get Uganda prepared to host that NAM summit.
However, some lawmakers disagreed with the manner in which the government awarded the owner Sudil this contract, claiming that government should have instead constructed its own conference center. The Non-Aligned Movement Summit Forum, with over 120 countries expected, will be the largest conference following the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit CHOGM. This group is made up of 120 countries that are not formally associated or against any major power bloc such as the United States or Russia. Samlanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now let's talk matters business liquidation and reorganization. The Insolvency and Restructuring Journal of Uganda, the first of its type in all of Africa, was launched by the Uganda Registration Services Bureau in partnership with the Judicial Training Institute. The journal aims to consolidate information and promote its dissemination for the benefit of the business community as a whole. Now, Naomi Mutumba has details here.
It's called the Insolvency Journal of Uganda. It's basically a compilation of articles
on insolvency regime, how to rescue a business, what mistakes you should not do, how other businesses survived, lessons, sharing experiences, the legal aspects, the chartered secretary aspects.
The World Bank endorsed the effective insolvency and creditor regimes principles, which place a strong emphasis on finding a delicate balance between corporate liquidation and reorganization, while facilitating simple conversion of processes. The main piece of legislation governing insolvency in Uganda, the Insolvency Act of 2011, has evolved to keep up with contemporary developments and offers administration and rescue options for both businesses and people. Norbert Mao, the Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, praised Uganda Registration Service Bureau and the participants who contributed to this innovation, which will prevent many enterprises from going under. He continues by saying that insolvent businesses can now apply for judicial protection and engage in negotiations with their creditors.
I call upon all the companies, when you have failed to pay your debts, don't go into hiding. We have laws in Uganda that can protect you. You may not even need to go to court. But now we are going to have lawyers who are experts to ensure that your relationship between those who have lent you money is restored.
The board chairman, Uganda Registration Service Bureau, His Excellency Ambassador Francis Botagira, indicated as the journal content is a very important article that will help in rescuing many ailing businesses in Uganda, which are many in light of the current economic struggles due to factors such as post-COVID-19 effects and rising inflation to survive liquidation.
Is to help those ailing companies to be back on their feet. And we have built capacity in URSB. What we need to do is to communicate how can the public access our services. And this we are going to do in due course. But I can assure you quite a number of companies or businesses have been brought back to their feet.
The theme for this year's 6th Annual Insolvency Law Conference is Emerging Trends and Practices, Creating a Resilient Insolvency Regime. The government would benefit from economic stability by embracing procedures designed to save firms and addressing them with the utmost care and immediacy they require. Naomi Mtumba, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
All right, now away from that, there is a 4% surge in office space demand, as the size and scope of the real estate market in Kampala makes it an alluring and lucrative industry for many investors. But it does present a dilemma because it is largely informal. Now, financial organizations like banks, for example, commercial banks, have come out and invested in real estate to promote infrastructure, as well as financing and leasing of the nation through both residential and commercial space in the city. Bronia Katusime has details of this report.
Real estate has been one of the fast-growing industries in Uganda over the past few years, and the property market is experiencing a boom. Stanbic Bank Properties, as part of the real estate shares in Uganda, has seen a 4% surge in office space demand. This is a solid recovery in the second half of 2022 compared to the same period last year. However, the declining price levels of residential properties fluctuated from 2018 to 2022, with price levels of 98.12 in 2018, 99.45 in 2019, 109.11 in 2020, 106.92 in 2021, and 103.25 in 2022, making it the ideal time for someone to acquire a real estate property.
So our market, the residential properties, majorly informal and is influenced by the demand of these houses and the supply. So once the demand is not there, definitely the prices will have to come down. So if you put up your house today, you have a problem and you want to sell it, and nobody is willing to buy it because they don't have the money. That means they don't have the demand for it. Even if you've supplied the house, then you will maybe reduce and influence them to buy the house. That's why we are seeing house prices coming down.
The Stanbic Property Limited provides an in-depth analysis of the industry through its report. There is a partial crossover between retail property and warehousing properties. This is emphasized that warehouses can be used for different uses. It also indicates that the demand for residential, commercial and industrial properties has been on the rise, leading to an increase in property prices and rental rates.
Beginning with the Kampala office space. We anticipate that the office, particularly for grade A, will remain in an upward trajectory for the next 12 months. And this is also due to the recent development in the oil and gas sector, as it is fast-tracking the drilling and pipeline developments, which has gained momentum.
Despite the positive outlook, this industry faces a number of challenges, such as lack of financing options for property developers, the high cost of construction materials, and high costs of living. The report recommends that stakeholders in the industry should focus on addressing these challenges to maintain the industry's growth. According to Peter Sewagude, the business manager of Stanbic, the amended landlord and tenant bill helps on resolving issues like termination of tenants and lack of landlord agreements with tenants.
We have two different real estate scenarios here. We have what we typically call the downtown, where we have more unregulated, where you don't have tenancy agreements in many cases. And then you look at the uptown, upmarket real estate, where things are more formalized. So one, that act was to try and bring some stability and a kind of a uniform across the real estate market. But more importantly, there was a sense of protection for the tenants, because up to that point, tenants felt they were at a disadvantage. I mean, landlords would come and evict tenants without notice or very short notice.
Additionally, it highlights that the emergency of new property developers and the growing interest of international investors in Uganda's real estate markets are playing a vital role in the industry's growth, noting that the development of new infrastructure such as roads, airports, and rail networks is contributing to the industry's growth.
Pro bono maybe to the economy. Most of them can read and understand, but we expect that for developers who would want to invest, because you find someone has invested over $2 million on something, and when you reach to see the intention and the purpose, because as you're developing, you need to understand whom am I developing for. You cannot get a big apartment where you expected to earn about $2,000 and you put it in Nakawa Moves, where they are students.
Property real estate outlook reports are essential guides for stakeholders in the real estate business, like property developers, investors, and policymakers, to make informed decisions, for they highlight opportunities and challenges in the industry and provide recommendations for addressing these challenges. Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
And now President Museveni has rallied sector players on value addition. In order to boost Uganda's revenue, the president has persisted in educating the political class about value added to the country's raw materials, with the projection of export earnings increasing from 50 billion shillings to 500 billion shillings. The president vows to fund young groups that unite to increase value addition in order to make Uganda a high middle-class economy.
Addressing the NRM parliamentary regional whips at State House in Entebbe, His Excellency said that Uganda should raise its competitive advantage at the world market by processing its main exports so that the nation may fetch more income. He noted that Uganda's coffee, cotton, maize, milk, and forest products, as well as other mineral resources, can help Uganda generate more income when processed, adding that this will enhance yields from the 50 billion per annum to 500 billion shillings. President further noted that export promotion would help create more jobs, a trend that will save 800,000 Ugandan youths from flocking the Arab world for petty employment. The meeting attracted a consortium of 15 companies dealing in production and export of coffee and other stakeholders. Representing the coffee corridor, Mr. Nelson Tugume revealed that Uganda needs $10 million enable export of the required quality and quantity of the processed coffee to the Balkan states, following the vacuum that has been created by the Russia-Ukraine war. President Museveni lauded the transformation of the dairy industry that has experienced remarkable growth from 1989 to date, noting that it can now generate $3.8 million per annum, a trend which was unheard of. Ronana Habwe, Smart 24 TV, Business.
All right, now as the Uganda Registration Service Bureau and the judiciary figure out means to address insolvency, corporate governance and administration is one preliminary measure to company shortfalls. And Ronan Ahabo links up with Fiona Wall-Nabasa, the recently appointed CEO of the League of East African Directors, to highlight the essence of effective administration.
Good evening to you. Tuned into Smart 24 TV, and thank you for watching Business Today. My name is Rona Nahabwe, and with me is Fiona Nabasa, the new CEO of the League of East African Directors. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So today's topic is about institutional management and building better boards. Now, as a new CEO, what should we, expect from you, and what should a startup look to, since you are a reference for, looking for better boards, good management, better management for any institution?
You see, the requirement right now for board governance has really gone high. But for a startup, of course, you would start with the basic requirements. And I think one of the things that we've seen as a best practice, whether it's a family startup or it's a corporate startup, I think it's very good for your non-executive directors. These are the directors who are not involved in the running of the organization, to be more than the executive directors, so that there is less conflict of interest. But another best practice is to make sure that your board members have skills that are important and that are necessary. For instance, if it is an organization like Vitafoam, there should be someone there that understands the chemistry of mattresses, someone that understands marketing. As we speak right now, I think you've heard about what's happening to the Silicon Valley Bank. One of the things that has come out now, when people are investigating why are things going wrong, is they found that I think only one of the board members had any financial management experience. And yet, if you remember the Jamwa case, the famous Jamwa case in Uganda, the court stated that now, with all these new developments in case law, the standard for measuring, it used to be that in order to figure out whether you're a fit and proper person, then it's the standard of a reasonable man. Yeah. But the case of Jamwa, the law justice said that the standard is now whether you are skilled and knowledgeable in the area of that organization. So that's why if you have someone on the audit committee, they should have some understanding of risk, risk and audit. If there is someone that is on the finance committee, they should have an understanding of what budgets should look like, because you are going to be held liable for what goes wrong in your organization. Maybe
to juxtapose this and maybe set the pace and bring it to what is happening in the country. Yeah. Of course, we've seen the saga with NSSF. Yeah. And aside from, having experience and the skills that are required for you to be the better board chairperson, what are some of those laws? Have there been any laws? Because you mentioned
there are many laws
that are put in place to enable this management be equipped and then also be governed in a way that sets the standard.
For instance, the Uganda Retirement Benefits Authority, because of these retirement benefits issues, some of them that are emerging, has come up with new amendments to the law, has come up with what should a fund manager manage if the fund manager is somehow is advising the savers to put their money in something they are involved in. They've said, you can only save only about 30% of the money there. This is to reduce what we call conflict of interest. You know that in a fund, for instance, there are administrators, there are managers, there are all these other third parties. Then there is the board, then there is the savers, and then there is the beneficiaries, the employer and the beneficiaries. We have to make sure that the stakeholders of this whole environment, each of them has rights and responsibilities. We have to protect their rights, and we have to ensure that they carry out their responsibilities. And that requires consistent education, consistent skilling. And one of the things that is happening now is you're seeing even consistent changes in regulation. UBRA, for instance, has just released 8 new amendments to the laws. Now we have another sector that is now really highly regulated, the insurance sector, because it also deals with a lot of stewardship and a lot of money. And we have the banking sector, the standards are really going high there. Especially now with the crisis that you're seeing. I think you saw the Bank of Uganda saga, but also at some point during the Greenland Bank saga, this bank crisis was all over East Africa. Now we're seeing it in the Americas. So I think that it is very important to understand that corporate governance requires ethical governance, requires people that are skilled, requires people to ensure that they understand their duties and they carry out their duties. So this also requires a higher level of accountability from the board, because the board is the head of the organization.
So I might want to think that as lead, you have put up a mechanism to help Uganda particularly, because I want to stick to Uganda, to help some of these companies, organizations, any organization that is in a move for business transformation, in a way to have economic transformation at the end of the day, because, you know, politics, social, everything is business. At the end of the day, money is, because if there's a crisis at the end of the day, money is the one that is lost.
Absolutely.
So, and if there is no money, there is no progress.
Absolutely.
So my interest now with this question is to know: have you collaborated with government, arms, or have you collaborated with specific NGOs or that are meant to equip and put your niche and your objective to the
yes, absolutely. You are the League of East African Directors since 2015 has been training and equipping boards. It has been doing board inductions, board evaluations, and as of 2 years ago, we started what we call the Non-Executive Directors Awards, the NED Awards. And these NED Awards are to applaud the NEDs, or the non-executive directors that have been exceptional in practicing corporate governance. We think that in upholding and applauding good behavior, we will encourage it. But another thing that we've also done is that we have created a critical mass of what we call fit and proper persons. People that have been vetted, people that have been trained, people that have served on boards and been tested. So we have a critical mass. We have a huge membership all over the East African region, and we have, I think since 2015, we've been recommending
Are these people used as reference when the companies come to you?
Absolutely.
This
is the pool from which we recommend people when companies come and ask for boards, or when companies come and ask for trainers. You've heard of organizations like the CEO Summit, and these are all our members. These are all our corporate members. And one of the things that we've done is we have partnerships with organizations like Strathmore Business School to ensure the continuous professional development of our members. It's a member-based organization. It has both individual and corporate members. And we have also what we call the League Convention. Lead Convention. Now the Lead Convention is like a place where we share knowledge. We are also we're also going to have CEO roundtables and to discuss these issues that are very, like the relationship between the board and management. Recently, we've seen issues of when there is a ministry involved. We saw what happened in South Africa, for instance. South African Airlines was affected by the ministry board relationship, and now it's actually having serious crisis. You'd wonder whether it's even there. So SABC, it's a media station that suffered, I think, changed CEOs like 7 times in 2 years because
which is
of
unhealthy,
these
even
problems.
for the staff.
Absolutely. So we want to see healthy organizations, and they say the head starts rotting from the fish starts rotting from the head. So we want the board to be healthy. We want the board to be resilient. We want the board to, because we have a very brittle environment. We have a very unpredictable environment these days with COVID, with all these things. We need leaders that are flexible, accountable. We need leaders that are ethical, that are going to stand in the face of temptation, that are going to deal with conflict of interest fairly, squarely, and transparently. And this all sounds very, very, but I will tell you that Transparency International did some ethical ratings, and Uganda is rating very low. It's actually rating almost the lowest in the region. And that, for me, sends a message that we need to do a lot.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about ethics, and I remember there were, in that workshop I was telling you about, where they were targeting building better boards.
Yes,
they were talking about
the LEAD convention last year.
Yes. So they were talking about board chairpersons that serve on multiple boards as the board chairpersons. Like, you find someone is a board chair here, just because they align with their interests or maybe with their work portfolio, they feel they should nominated. So is lead as you are you trying to combat or curb these vices? Because in a way it creates
there are certain habits
jobs
in corporate governance that are discouraged and even legislated against, like entrenchment. Entrenchment is when you want to serve more terms, or you want to get your relatives within the organization. But then there are other things like, if you're a good person, how many boards, what's the maximum of boards you can serve on? If you've had a criminal, a criminal record, how much time should pass before you can serve on a board?
I can tell you, for Uganda's boards, we have had, we have seen similar faces.
Yes.
I can tell you,
But this was because no one was intentionally building the capacity. And now I can assure you that for the last 5 years, LEAD has been working very hard, and I can assure you that right now we have about 150 board chairpersons that we're very confident about, that we can, ensure that they move from one place to another. But I also am confident that because this year we have an exciting package.
That's what I was getting to.
Yes, we're increasing the number of trainings. We are increasing, we're creating newer criteria to use to look at who should serve on which board. And of course, one of the criterion is going to be, are you on too many boards? Are you able to be effective? Are you a fit and proper person? If you're a chair on 2, then maybe next time you should not be a chair, you should just be a member. And also, we need to understand that our economy is growing larger. We're now regionalizing. And I think you've seen CEOs and board chairs moving all over the East African. Yeah, I'm proud to say that the League of East African Directors is now also intentionally doing that. Because if you're going to be a board in Uganda, you might as well move. Instead of doing 3 terms here, do 2 terms and then move maybe to another jurisdiction and serve.
And as we wrap up, I would like to pick your mind as a new CEO, what we should expect from LEAD in regards to building better boards, in regards to better institutional management, in regards to, creating an environment that is good for business to flourish.
The first thing we realize is that we have to create stronger relationships with government, with the regulators, give them the support so that they are able to train their boards that they regulate. We want to ensure that we also equip these boards, their board tools, technology. We want to educate them and bring them up to par, the environmental governance and social responsibility elements that are necessary. But we also want to increase the resilience of boards to withstand pressure, to manage crises. And we're going to do this through trainings, through networking events that will grow our networks. But we also want to create relationships with other bigger institutions that are going to grow the capacity. Again, I've given you an example of Strathmore. Within the region, there are other universities in South Africa that we can partner with. And I can assure you that you're going to see more relationships with LEAD. You're going to see more activities for the members, more member value. But we're also going to see LEAD and other organizations advocating for legislation around governance.
Nice one. Yeah. I really wish you good luck with that. Well, there you have it. If you need to build a better board, or if you need reference or guidance in regards to how you can best manage your company, there is LEAD. LEAD is here. And as always, thank you for watching Business Today. My name is Rona Nahabwe. Have a good evening.
Now Business Today does take a break. We shall return with more reports coming up.